Hello there, social media specialists. Are you searching for input on how to do social media at its best? Well, my tip to you is to learn from the best and meet them when you can. Check out Social Media Marketing World 2017 and book early to save money for a hotel, flights, booking, and even tickets. That's right. See you soon at the very best social media conference worldwide.
Hey, I am in Stockholm, Sweden, with one of my great friends, John Buskell. And I know a lot of people in the Grow community have been so excited that I'm going to meet John. And a lot of people have written John and said, oh, you're going to meet John, you're going to meet Mark. Give him a hug. He hasn't done that yet. But and I'm hoping that maybe he won't. But I'm so excited to finally be able to meet John. John and I have probably been connected 2 years, I'm thinking, and we've collaborated on a few things and helped each other on a few things, but I can't remember how we got, do you remember how we got connected?
I think I was reading something on Chris Brogan's blog and you'd left a comment, and I clicked through to your blog, and I saw this funny green colored sign with a picture of a guy in the sidebar, and I thought, oh, who's this?
Yeah.
And I just happened to drop the RSS feed into my newsreader.
Yeah.
And for some reason, because I put them in something that's there to begin with and to check them out, and it sort of worked its way to the top, and I kept coming back.
Great, as it should be. As it should be.
So that's how it happened.
Now we know why John is so smart and why I like him so much. But John and I, we have become great friends, and John has been on my blog, I've been on his blog, and he's one of my favorite bloggers in the world. So, I guess I'd like to hear, John, here in Scandinavia, you mentioned to me you're perhaps 18 months behind where America might be as far as social media marketing. So what's it like being really a pioneering voice, one of the few social media marketing bloggers in this region? How is that for you?
It's difficult. I think it's difficult because here in Scandinavia, we're a small area, so most of the conversations take place in the Scandinavian languages, in small communities of people that already know each other. Sure, if you're writing in English, people are interested in what you're saying and look towards America, but really, if I look at the States, you've got the Chris Brogans, the Jay Bears, the Ginny Drishis, the Mark Schaefers who get a lot of traffic. Scandinavia, we don't have that. The top Scandinavian bloggers will hang out on the top American sites.
Yes.
So, it's going outward rather than in.
Well, it's interesting, if you look at the Ad Age 100 blogs, there isn't anybody, maybe there's one or two from Europe. Literally nobody from Scandinavia, so it is. Now, you write your blog in English, is that right?
Yeah.
Now, is that okay? To establish your foothold here, is an English language blog going to work for you or against you?
I think it works both for and against. It works for me in the sense that it's brought me business from across the seas outside of Scandinavia, outside of Sweden.
How about that?
But also from the other Nordic countries, because although we speak, Swedes and Norwegians will understand each other. The Danes often will prefer it if we speak English here to understand each other. So it's not a hindrance to doing business. Also, the English is the business language of a lot of Nordic companies. So that it does work, but it also works against, because if you blog in English, it's like you're not part of the downtown Stockholm set of bloggers.
Interesting.
It's a very small community, everyone knows everybody, and if you're not participating in that, if you're not commenting, then it's hard to exist. So I personally, for my goals, for what I'm trying to achieve, would rather work on a global platform than a local platform.
Well, I think that's a great point because, honestly, you just seem to be beloved in the United States. You've connected with people in the United States, and I know there's, you meant Ginny and Jamie and I guess Jen Wynnum. You kind of have this fan club in the United States that it's great. And the same thing has happened in the opposite direction for me. Obviously, the reason I'm sitting here with you today is that we connected through the blog. It never would have happened any other way. So it's really exciting to be able to connect on this global level. But I think people in the United States, it's amazing how you've been able to connect there.
I think that's really I mean, I'm really just touched, and I'm amazed that so many people reach out to me from across the States, from across the Atlantic. I think one of the things I've discovered is that through social media, through content creation, it works across long distance. Here, if I want to get a client, one of the easiest ways is to meet them in person. And I think this is one of the biggest things that we as practitioners working in this industry have to face, is that word of mouth, face-to-face, still works. It's still a central voice.
Sure it does.
But what online communications have given me as a business owner, and one of the things that I try to bring to other businesses, is it's a great way of extending your reach, of coming into contact with new ideas, new attitudes, new ways of thinking, which permeate into the local environment. Swedish businesses are doing business in the way that Americans are because they're seeing how social media is working in North America.
Such an interesting point, because we had also talked a little bit about how it's dangerous to make the assumption just because it works in America, it's going to work in another place.
Sure.
So what's your forecast? I mean, is this going to be adopted? You know, if you're 18 months behind, is it going to be adopted in the same way, or is it going in different directions in Scandinavia?
I think we're behind at the smaller level with smaller B2B companies. So much of that is done through the networks that people know each other. Where it's really taking off is at the much bigger corporate level. For example, the train company here, the national train company, has been on Twitter for like 3 years. And if you tweet them, there's a good chance you'll get a response.
Outstanding.
I mean, and that's amazing that you can talk to the main train, the national train company through Twitter from Stockholm Central. I mean, that's awesome. And
state of the art.
State of the art. But what is interesting is whether smaller businesses, that those networks will change instead of who you went to school with, because it is a small city and it has been very much this old school network.
Yeah, interesting.
That will change as Swedes go outside of Sweden to study, to connect.
It's disintermediating relationships. You know, very, very interesting. Changing the game as far as how people connect. And again, it gets back to this idea of how you and I connected. We never would have connected without the Twitter blog type of thing. And so that's very interesting. Well, John, it's been such a pleasure getting to meet you finally. How can people find you on the web? And of course, John is just such a fine blogger. Truly one of my favorites. And how can people find you on the web?
You can find me on Twitter at twitter.com John Buskell, JONBUSCALL, or they can just find me at my website, which is jontusmedia.com, and that's JONTUSmedia.com.
Okay, great. Thanks John.
Mark.
Okay,
Thanks.
great.
Hello, social media interested folks. Are you looking for the knowledge on how to do social media at its very best? My tip for you, learn from the best and meet with them. Check the community and learn from others. Strengthen your network. Check out the social media marketing world and book early to save on flights, tickets, hotels for the very best. Social Media Conference Worldwide.